You should just ignore strangers. Why should you go out of your way and waste your time like that? It's outrageous that you would ruin my important tea party just to help a complete stranger. That was what my mother-in-law Diana said to me over the phone after I had escorted an elderly woman to the hospital who had collapsed in front of me. Diana, you might be wealthy, but I'm guessing you never read stories like The Little Red Hen or The Lion and the Mouse when you were a child, did you? Stories that teach us about the importance of gratitude and appreciating the sacrifices others make for us. That's what I thought to myself. My name is Tessa Westwood, and I'm 35 years old. I live with my wonderful husband and our adorable 5-year-old son. Today I cherish a peaceful and happy life, but back when we were newlyweds, things were far from easy. It was especially challenging because my husband came from a very wealthy family. On the other hand, my parents ran a small diner in the heart of a town. They served hearty meals like grilled fish and stews, which were incredibly popular among the office workers in the area. Growing up watching my parents work hard, I dreamed of running my own restaurant one day. After graduating high school, I went to culinary school and earned my chef's certification. I helped out at the diner while dreaming of the day I'd open a place of my own. But then everything changed when my mom collapsed unexpectedly. Although her condition wasn't life-threatening, she had to be hospitalized for several weeks. I was worried about her, of course, but something unexpected came from the situation. My dad and I ran the diner together, and naturally, I got to know the regulars. Most of the diner's customers were older office workers. Then one day, a man with a very different vibe started showing up. That man was Curtis, a sales executive for a wine distribution company. He had just returned from a 2-year overseas assignment and decided to stop by our diner that day. "Excuse me, but could I use your phone? It's quite embarrassing, but I seem to have left my phone in a cab. I was on my way to the office, but now I'm completely lost." "Oh, I get it. There are so many buildings here that look the same. If it's a company I know, I can show you the way. I'm pretty familiar with most places around here. Actually, I haven't eaten all day, and after all this walking, I'm starving. If you have time, would you like to have a bite to eat here? You know, ever since I walked in, these comforting aromas have been making my stomach grumble. So yes, I'd love to order something. What do you recommend? Our set meals are the house specialty." And that's how Curtis ended up having his first meal back in the States at our diner. After he finished his meal, I helped guide him to his office building. As we walked, I learned that Curtis has spent years traveling abroad for work, visiting places like Europe and South America. After that first encounter, Curtis started coming to the diner frequently. Over time, we began dating, and eventually he proposed. And then came the time to meet his family for the first time. Curtis had told me about his family beforehand, but I couldn't help feeling nervous when the day finally arrived. You see, Curtis's family is part of an old money dynasty. The wine distribution company he works for was actually founded by his late father. His father had passed away, and his older brother, Sean, had taken over as CEO of the company. Marrying into a family like that felt overwhelming. Would they even accept someone like me? Don't worry, Tessa. Just because they're founders doesn't mean they're anything special. My brother is the one running the show now, and I've got a lot more freedom. I chose sales so I could travel and meet new people. And when it comes to marriage, I'll marry the person I love. Simple as that. Curtis said that with a reassuring smile, and it gave me a small vote of confidence. Now that you mention it, my dad is a founder too, in his own way. He owns and runs the diner after all, so maybe it's not so different and I was getting worked up over nothing. With that thought in mind, I gathered my courage and went to visit Curtis's family home. But what awaited me was a sprawling mansion. Oh wow, this isn't just any founder's home. This is on another level. Feeling like I stepped into a whole new world, I walked through the front door. The grand entryway was lined with polished marble. The living room featured oversized European-style furniture that exuded luxury. Seated in the living room were Curtis's mother Diana and his older brother Sean. "Mom, Sean, this is my fiancée Tessa. It's nice to finally meet you. I've been seeing Curtis for a while now. Do you have any idea what proper attire is for this kind of occasion?" Diana cut me off before I could even finish introducing myself. "I'm sorry, what?" "Oh, so you also have trouble with your hearing, is that right? What I mean is you clearly have no sense of appropriate appearances coming here dressed like that. Diana stood up and slowly looked me over from head to toe. You're here as Curtis's fiancée, aren't you? Then why in the world are you dressed like that? I'd chosen a pastel yellow dress, thinking it looked modest and elegant for the occasion. Wait, did I misjudge this? Before I could answer, Sean chuckled and chimed in. I think what Mom's trying to say is that she's shocked you show up here in such a plain, no-name outfit. Mom, you have to remember, her dad runs a diner. You need to spell it out for her. I see. If I don't explain, she'll never understand. Wait a second. That definitely sounded like an insult to my family and me. You came here today to announce your engagement to us, right? Wearing designer clothes is the bare minimum for something like this. Even if you're just a diner owner's daughter, if you're marrying into this family, you need to understand proper etiquette. Tessa, are you even capable of that? Diana was relentless, but Curtis stepped in to defend me. What are you even saying, Mom? Sean? Tessa looks beautiful in this dress, and worrying about designer labels in this day and age? That's so outdated. Even celebrities wear casual brands these days. His example of celebrities might be a bit naive, but his heart is in the right place. Still, I was grateful for him standing up for me. But Curtis, she's not a celebrity. She's marrying into our family, so she needs to shape up and meet our standards. We'll have family events and formal gatherings to consider. Family parties? That's news to me. I forced a smile to hide the growing pit of anxiety forming in my stomach. If that's the case, you can guide her going forward, Mom. Diana, I know I have a lot to learn, so I'd be grateful for your guidance. I appreciate your support. Diana's face twisted into a sly smile as if she thought of something. Fine then. Let's start by teaching Tessa all about how our family operates. But first, there's one condition you'll have to meet before you marry my son. A condition? You'll have to move in with us and live under our roof. I suppose that to truly be accepted by this family, I'd have to learn their ways and abide by their rules. When in Rome, do as the Romans do, I thought to myself. After talking it over with Curtis, I agreed to Diana's condition, but little did I know that agreement marked the beginning of my true trial. After the wedding, I was expected to take on all the household chores. Every morning, I prepared breakfast for the entire family, followed by cleaning the entire house from top to bottom. Are you okay? You're not overworking yourself, are you? No, I'm fine. I told myself I had to earn their acceptance through hard work. It wasn't the chores themselves that bothered me. It was the constant battles over food preferences. Every family member had wildly different tastes. Diana and Curtis preferred a hearty breakfast with eggs and sausage, while Sean insisted on artisan pastries. As if that wasn't enough, Diana found every opportunity to criticize my efforts. What is this? That's way too sweet. It tastes like something for children. That was her reaction the first time I made an omelet. I actually like it this way. Curtis tried to defend me, but Diana remained firm in her disapproval. To make matters worse, Sean also had plenty to say about my cooking. What is this supposed to be? An omelet is supposed to be fluffy on the outside and perfectly gooey inside. And you pride yourself as the daughter of a family-owned diner? What a joke. And so began my life in Curtis's family home. Diana's demands only escalated as the days went on. Tessa, I noticed dust in the hallway. Make sure you clean it properly. Tessa, take Curtis's suits to the dry cleaners, would you? Oh, and don't forget to iron his shirts perfectly. We're running out of tea. Go buy more, but not from some ordinary store. Get it from the specialty shop. This brand only. I once spent 3 hours making a round trip to buy her preferred brand of tea. Couldn't she just order it online? I muttered to myself more than once. I felt less like a family member and more like a servant. Even so, I endured it all. I kept telling myself that one day I'd finally be accepted. But when Curtis left for a month-long business trip overseas, everything took a turn for the worse. Diana seized the opportunity to pile on even more demands. Tessa, I've got friends coming over tonight. Set up the tea and prepare some pastries. They'll be here in an hour. I rushed to my usual bakery to pick up the pastries. On my way back, as I was crossing the street, I noticed an elderly woman ahead of me stumble and collapse to her knees. Are you okay? Do you feel sick? The woman clutched her chest and looked up at me with wide, frightened eyes. Please, help me. Those were her last words before she lost consciousness. Panicked, I dialed 911 and called for an ambulance. When the EMTs arrived, they asked if I could accompany her to the hospital since she seemed to be alone. She wasn't my family, but I couldn't let her go through this ordeal alone. At the hospital, the staff managed to contact her family, and I finally felt a wave of relief. By the time everything was settled, Diana's tea party had long ended, and my phone was ringing incessantly. Where on earth have you been? Our guests have already left. Diana, I'm sorry, but there was an elderly woman who collapsed and I took her to the hospital. Don't lie to cover up for being late. Even if it's true, why would you bother with some random stranger? You ruined my tea party just to help this old woman? That's unforgivable. After Diana hung up on me, the woman's son arrived at the hospital. A man in a sharp suit hurried to the reception desk, speaking quickly with the staff. Noticing me nearby, he walked over with a tense but polite expression. Excuse me, I was told you stayed with my mother. Thank you so much for helping her. Oh, it's nothing really. I just happened to be there and wanted to help. My mother has a weak heart. I think the stress of travel might have caused this episode. The man gave me a deep, grateful bow before heading back to the reception desk. Watching him, I felt relieved to see how much she was cared for by her family. But as far as I was concerned, my part in this was done. It was time to head back to Diana's house. Walking home, I wrestled with how to explain everything to Diana. Suddenly, my phone buzzed again. Tessa, are you okay? Mom called me and she sounded furious. Oh, Curtis, I'm sorry. She sent me to buy pastries for her tea party, but I didn't make it back in time, so she's really upset. You must have had a reason for being late. Did something happen? I helped an elderly woman who collapsed on the street. I stayed with her until her family arrived. What? But that's totally reasonable. Even Mom should see that. Curtis's words gave me a small sense of relief. But when I arrived back at the house, Diana was waiting, her anger radiating like heat waves. Tessa, how dare you embarrass me like this today? Diana, I'm sorry, but I couldn't just walk away when someone collapsed right in front of me. This woman obviously needed help. Even if that's true, putting our family's needs second is unacceptable. Is that really the way you see this, Diana? For the first time, I gave voice to the anger that had been simmering inside me. What if the woman I helped today had been you? How would you feel if a stranger just walked away? Diana froze for a moment, but her face quickly turned red with indignation. How dare you speak to me like that? You're an absolute failure as a daughter-in-law. At that very moment, the front door burst open and Curtis stormed in. Mom, what on earth are you saying to Tessa? Diana was momentarily speechless at Curtis's sudden arrival. Curtis, what are you doing here so early? My schedule changed. But never mind that. What's going on here? Curtis took one look at me and immediately realized something was wrong. Tessa, why don't you tell us what happened? Curtis's gentle voice was the final push I needed. I decided to let everything out. It's true that I was late for Diana's tea party, but I've been trying to explain, I had a reason. I came across an elderly woman who collapsed on the street, and I stayed with her at the hospital. That's why I was late. That's all there is to it. Hearing this, Curtis's face grew dark with anger. Mom, do you think Tessa's actions were wrong? She helped a complete stranger. Shouldn't her priority have been our family? Are you saying that family should take priority over everything else? Mom, is that really what it means to take care of a family? Curtis's sharp words made Diana flinch. How would you feel if you were the one who collapsed on the street? And how would it feel if someone left you lying there just because you were a stranger? Diana opened her mouth to respond but closed it again, unable to meet his gaze. And Mom, do you even realize how hard Tessa works around here? She cleans, cooks, and takes care of everything for this house. Yet you still find reasons to criticize her? Curtis's words brought a warm, unexpected feeling to my chest. Just then, a voice called out from the front door. Excuse me, is anyone home? It was the son of the elderly woman I had helped at the hospital. I'm here looking for Miss Tessa, who stayed with my mother at the hospital. Diana and Sean's eyes widened in surprise. Wait, what's going on? As the man in the suit entered the living room, Sean's expression shifted dramatically. You're Mr. Ledoyan! It turned out that the man was none other than Jean Ledoyan, a major client of the family's wine distribution business. Yes, I'm Jean Ledoyan. I came here to personally thank Tessa for helping my mother. But after hearing what's happened here, I'm deeply shocked by how she's been treated. Jean's sharp rebuke left Diana and Sean momentarily speechless. We were just trying to teach Tessa about being part of the family. Family? Then why are you treating her like she's an outsider? Jean turned his icy gaze toward Sean and continued. How can I trust a company run by a family that can't even respect the woman who saved my mother? Trust? Wait, Mr. Ledoyan. I think there might be some misunderstanding here. A misunderstanding? Then please enlighten me. What part of this situation is a misunderstanding? Sean's voice quivered, betraying his growing desperation. Tessa, she's just not used to the way things work in this house yet, that's all. And that justifies you criticizing her for saving someone's life? Jean's icy stare bore into Sean, leaving him visibly cornered. Mr. Ledoyan, please understand, Tessa is young and inexperienced. Youth is no excuse for disregarding someone's worth as a human being. Jean's words hung in the air, silencing the room. Curtis, keeping his composure, finally spoke. Mr. Ledoyan, I apologize for the behavior of my mother and brother, but the reason I came back early is to tell them I'm taking Tessa and leaving this house. Curtis, what do you mean by that? It's clear that as long as we're here, Tessa will continue to be mistreated. My responsibility as her husband is to protect her. Diana looked utterly stunned by Curtis's declaration. But Curtis, are you planning to abandon your family? Family? If you'd really treated us like family, it wouldn't have come to this. At that moment, Jean interjected. If I may, I'd like to add something. I deeply appreciate what Tessa did for my mother, but what I respect even more is her genuine compassion for others. If this family can't value someone like her, I'd question how much trust they could truly build with anyone. Jean's statement left both Sean and Diana completely speechless, but it was Curtis who broke the silence. Mom, Sean, we won't be coming back to this house. Tessa and I are starting a new life, and that's final. What? Curtis, please, reconsider. Diana's voice cracked, but Curtis's resolve remained firm. That's a wise decision, Curtis, for both of you and for Tessa. Shortly after, we packed our belongings and left the family home behind. As John departed, he turned to us with a warm smile. We won't forget how you helped my family. I wish you both the best in your new beginning. A few months later, Curtis and I moved into a cozy apartment, marking the beginning of our new chapter. For the first time, it was just the two of us. Our life was peaceful and filled with quiet joy, as if all the struggles we had faced were just a distant memory. Curtis's work days were demanding, but he always prioritized our time together above everything else. I got off work a little early today, so I'll help with dinner. Really? You could just relax, you know? No way. I love cooking with you. And besides, I need to steal some of your tricks. The time we spent in the kitchen together became one of our favorite shared moments. Meanwhile, I decided to start a small cooking class, which helped me quickly integrate into our local community. Today, I'll teach you the basics of home cooking. It's not hard, I promise. Let's do this together. Many of my students were busy professionals who wanted to cook for their families despite their hectic schedules. Seeing them strengthen their family bonds through my class brought me indescribable joy. One day, a student shared something that deeply touched me. Thanks to you, I've started cooking with my son more often. It's become our favorite time together. I can't thank you enough. Her words brought me to the brink of tears. Knowing that my experiences were helping others find happiness was deeply moving. Curtis's career was also flourishing, and he was soon appointed as the lead on a major project. Tessa, this promotion wouldn't have happened without your support. Thank you for always being my biggest supporter. I didn't do anything. You earned it with your hard work. Congratulations. That evening, as we prepared a celebratory dinner together, we talked about our dreams for the future. One day, when we have kids, I want our home to be like your cooking class, a place where we all enjoy cooking together. Yes, that sounds like the perfect future for us. Back at the family home, Sean had declared bankruptcy and Diana was left cleaning up the financial mess he had created. What became of them no longer concerned us. What mattered was that we had moved past the pain and were building a new future together. One weekend, during a picnic at a nearby park, Curtis said something that made me smile. I hope we can keep making memories like this with smiles all around us. His words filled me with the happiness that came from the depths of my heart. No matter what challenges came our way, I knew we could overcome them because our bond was strong enough to carry us through. And in that moment, I realized just how rich and fulfilling my life had become. Our future, I knew, would only shine brighter from here on out.